Alhamdulillah, we praise God. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. And we bear witness that there is no God except the one God. As you know, I have been working on the new translation now, down to the serious business of preparing the pages for the printer. So these seem to be the final developments. And there's a lot of information that is developing right now. There's a lot to be learned, but I want to share with you the developments as they are happening. One of the main questions that people always ask since the time of Moses, what about all those people in the past? They had the wrong information. Remember that question Pharaoh asked Moses? What about all those people of the past generation? And Moses said, their knowledge is with my Lord. My Lord is never wrong. So this question keeps coming up. What about all those millions of people in the past? So I want to just do some statistics with you. If we divide the population of the world, if we just draw a bar like this and divide it into 15 sections, these are 15 sections. From the time of Adam, from the beginning, the first man, until now, we occupy this section here. These are the people who lived on earth from the time of Adam until now. About 6 billion people. And from now, from 1989, Happy New Year, to the end of the world, 2280, there will be this many people. 75 billion. So as you see, we are still at the beginning of humanity. And the vast majority of human beings will receive the message, the complete message, all put together. So God is not neglecting all those people in the past, because they represent a very small minority, as you can see graphically. This is simple statistics. The other thing that I wish to share with you is we talked about the 3 categories of creatures. How God's creatures became classified as a result of the heavenly dispute. The dispute in the high society of Surah 38, verse 69. Satan thought he can be a God due to his ignorance of the fact that only God possesses the power, and that it is not egotistic on God's part or anything like that. God be glorified. It is simply a fact that God alone can control every atom in the universes, while no other creature can do that. And we have seen examples how Satan cannot even see big things in this world. I have shared this with you before. So because of Satan's ignorance and arrogance, he thought that he can rule as a god somewhere. And God gave him this tiny mote called the planet Earth to rule. Now, going back to the classification of the creatures, there's a category at the University of Arizona called non-classified student. This is a student that goes in and he's neither or she's neither undergraduate or graduate. The non-classified student. Classification happened as a result of this dispute. Number 1, the first group was the angels, and those are the intelligent creatures. Those are the ones who knew or believed or decided with their own free will that God alone possesses all power to control every atom in the universe. They never had a doubt or a question. So they became classified as angels. The second group of people actually believe that Satan can act as a god. He possesses enough qualifications and power to be a god. Those are the Satan and his tribe, the jinns. Those became jinns. That's why your jinn is always telling you that Muhammad also has some power, that Jesus has some power, that Jude has some power, that Ali has some power. Your jinn is telling you that all the time because your jinn represents Satan, in Satan's point of view. The jinns made up their mind that Satan can be a god. The third category of people, you and me, didn't make up our minds. We were wishy-washy. And that's why God does not accept wishy-washies now. If you show any sign of idol worship and Satan claims you, God will give you to Satan. If Satan points at you and says, this person idolizes something for the slightest reason, God will tell him, take him or her. This is yours. So that's why we have to run away as far as possible from any hint of idol worship. Anyway, so the third category of people, of creatures, became humans. Those are the ones who didn't make up their mind. They said, yeah, maybe Satan can do it. In other words, they were not sold on God's absolute authority. They were not firm. They didn't say, only God possesses all power. And this is why we are here, to help us make up our minds. But basically, this is a horrendous crime, not to appreciate God's absolute authority. And that's why you are here. Okay, so God decided to give us this chance to help us make up our minds and to help us to be redeemed. The angels, who are completely sold on God's absolute authority, send them all to hell. Don't give them another chance. But God, the most merciful, decided to give us that chance. We talked about this, but as you see, you and I are developing this understanding together, and there's a lot more to be learned, inshallah. This verse here is 255 of Surah 2, says God releases His knowledge in accordance with His will. So this knowledge is coming to us in accordance with God's will, bit by bit. Now this brings us to the question of send them to hell. And it seems from studying Surah 19 verses 71 and 72 that this is hell. By definition, this is hell. Let me qualify this. This is a temporary, mild hell. The hell that will start on the day of resurrection is a lot worse. And this is what I'm going to discuss with you now. If you read 19, 71, 72, it says every single one of you is going there. Will go to hell. Then we save the righteous. In verse 72, God says, then we save the righteous and leave the transgressors there. So this is a halfway house between heaven and hell. You may call this a purgatory if you wish, in that term. Verses 19, 71, and 72. They say every single one of you is going there. Now, what is the definition of hell? The definition of hell is simply the absence of God. If God is not here, this is hell. And God teaches us in the Quran that He is not here physically. Moses wanted to see God, and God said, you cannot see me, look at the mountain. If it stays in place, you will see me. And then God manifested Himself to the mountain, and the mountain crumbled. This earth cannot stand the presence of God. Therefore, God, even though He controls every single atom in the universes, He is not here physically. He doesn't need to be here to control every atom. So the absence of God means hell. This is hell. In verse 21, in Surah 21, verse 101, we see that the righteous will be taken away from hell. So all these problems and the airplane crashes and the earthquakes and the headaches and the problems is because this is hell. And it is hell because Satan is running it in accordance with God's will. However, this is a mild hell because God didn't completely throw us into hell. Like I said, it's a halfway house. For example, God provides. In the real hell, God will not provide. And we see this in verse that I wrote down here, in Surah 7, verse 32. God says the provisions are only for the righteous on the day of resurrection, in the hereafter, exclusively. And you recall in Surah 2, verse 126, when Abraham said, please God, provide for those who believe in God on the last day. And God said, and also for the disbeliever. Because God wants to give them a chance to redeem themselves. So God interferes. God is the only provider in this world, not Satan. That's not Satan's job. Satan's only job here is to take care of his constituents other than provisions and to run his kingdom with those constituents. But God does interfere to provide for the believer and the disbeliever. This is not so in the hereafter. In the real hell, or the eternal hell of the hereafter, Satan will be in hell, and there will be no provisions for anybody in hell. So these are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you. So let us repent and redeem ourselves. God redeems us on request. Tubu ilallah. Alhamdulillah, we praise God. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. And we bear witness that there is no God except the one God. You can see. What was I saying? Before I got interrupted. You go ahead, straight.
That you can see that. Then you can see them. You saw what you saw.
Okay. Okay. In this khutbah, I would like to steal some of Abdullah's ideas. I'm going to give you the details in the next Friday, inshallah. But I think he discovered the ultimate miracle in the Quran. And I haven't looked at it yet, but this is what I understand from what they told me. I was not available at the time when he came. But I don't even need the board. When Abdullah, what he did, he took all the numbers in the Quran. We have Surah number 1, 7 verses. Surah number 2, 286 verses. John initials only? Oh, okay, not the whole. Okay. John initials that include the Surah 9. So Surah 1 and then Surah 4, 5, 6, and then you skip the initial surahs. What he did was, he put all the numbers you see in the Surah 9 is an uninitial surah, as you know. So if you take Surah number 1, and you put verse number 1, verse number 2, verse number 3, 4, and so on, to verse 7, and you do the same thing with all the surah in the Quran, put the numbers next to each other. Because when you come to Surah 9, you go only to verse 127, not 129. This will give you a number that is, I think, about 3 miles long. and it is a multiple of 19. If you add the false verses 128 and 129, it is not a multiple of 19. As you know, this is a principle that's been laid down before. You know, the morning prayer is 2 verses. The noon prayer is 4 verses, 4 rak'ahs, 4 units. The afternoon prayer is 4, the sunset is 3, and the night is 4. This number here is a multiple of 19. So this is putting the numbers next to each other, and this tells us that these are the correct prayers, correct numbers of rak'ahs. The morning is 2 rak'ahs, 2 units, and this is universal in the whole world. This is why the sunset is 3 and not 4. If it is 4 or 5 or 2, you will not have a multiple of 19. So Abdullah will give you the details next week, but this is a preview of it. And I want to share with you what the Bible says about the messenger of the covenant. Now, with this fact here, that from the time, the beginning of the world until now, this is the amount of population that we had, and the majority of people are yet to come. It makes sense that someone should come to put the message together, clean out all the falsehood, the junk, the innovations that were added to it, and put the messages of all the prophets in one unit. And here is what, it's amazing that the Bible should speak about the messenger of the covenant. And I have been talking to some enlightened Christians about this, and I've got really some profound information. This is the last book of the Torah, the book of Malachi, in chapter 3. So the message of the covenant in the Quran is in Surah 3 also. But chapter 3 says, "Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. Even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, says the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap." Then the verses go on talking about cleaning, refining gold, so the believers will come out like gold, remove all the dirt and the things, and also he will burn. He will be burning the others and hurting them, even though he's very kind. I'm just reading summarizing the other verses for you. And this makes us think, what is it that we do wrong, and the people are so averse to it? Why do they pick on Apame and Nalme, and why do they go to this mosque and this kind of thing? What are they doing? They're worshiping God alone. They're saying, worship God alone. Worship the one who creates you. Do not idolize powerless humans. But it shows you how the human being is basically bad. The human being is basically criminal. And even though we're saying mild things, we're saying the right things, we're saying La ilaha illallah, it hurts them. Because we purify. Let me read another version. You can look it up in any Bible, in Malachi chapter 3. Malachi, the last book in the Old Testament. And Malachi is one of the prophets of Israel, the last one. The subtitle is the messenger of the covenant. In this issue here, it says, "Lo, I am sending my messenger to prepare the way before me. And suddenly there will come to the temple the Lord whom you seek, and the messenger of the covenant whom you desire. Yes, he is coming, says the Lord of hosts. But who will endure the day of his coming, and who can stand when he appears? For he is like the refiner's fire, or like the fuller's lye. He will sit refining and purifying, and he will purify the sons of Levi," meaning the people, "refining them like gold or like silver, that they may offer due sacrifice to the Lord." And that it goes on, that this purification process, and it seems like our generation is doing this purification process. Now, what do the Christians believe? Most Christians believe that the message of the covenant is John the Baptist, because he came immediately after Jesus. And it doesn't make sense, because they are coming from the claim that Jesus is God. or the law. See, listen to what it says at the beginning of the chapter. Behold, I will send my messenger. This is the Old Testament before Jesus was born. And they're thinking that this is Jesus speaking. You can see the fallacy of it. They claim that Jesus is saying, behold, I will send my messenger. And they are wrong. The messenger of the covenant, God wills that he should be mentioned in the Bible and in the Quran. أقم الصلاة.